Hi yogi friends, Cathy here. Today I wanted to bring you a little bedtime sequence to give you some poses to help you relax the body and really get the system ready for complete relaxation and ease you into sleep. So let's start by coming into a hands and knees position, a tabletop. Spreading the fingers nice and wide as always, giving a little press into the fingertips, lengthening through the crown and the tail. And we're going to do some slow cat-cows here. So just open up the front of the body, lifting up the head and the tail. And then curving the spine toward the ceiling, slowly pressing into the base of the palms, tops of the feet and the knees. And on an inhale, drop the belly. And these don't need to be quite maybe as exaggerated as when you're doing a more energizing practice earlier in the day. We want to move slowly and deliberately because we're wanting to bring relaxation instead of a lot of effort. This spinal flexion helps to just sort of work out some of the kinks of the day, especially if we've been sitting a lot or even if we've been on the feet a lot. Spinal flexion is a good starting point for this relaxation. And just continue at your own pace here. And let's do one more cat, and then we'll come into a neutral position with the spine. And let's spread the knees as wide as the mat and bring the big toes to touch each other, and then we'll bring the hips back toward the heels. Extending the arms forward into a child's pose. You can rest the forehead either on the mat or if it helps to bring a block beneath the forehead, you can bring a block in here and rest the forehead on the block. The important thing is that we're just really letting gravity do the work here. There's very little effort, if any, in the body at all. And that pressure on the forehead can be a really nice, soothing feeling. So let that forehead just melt right into the mat. Let it grow heavy. Let the arms grow heavy. Let the hips really sink down toward the heels. Letting go of all efforts here. And breathing nice and deeply. We want the breath to become quite deep and lengthy. Sometimes during the day when we're busy, the breathing can get shallow, and it's a good clue to the nervous system that we're ready to settle when we start to slow and deepen the pacing of the breath. All right, let's come back up into our tabletop here. And from there, we're going to walk the knees back under. Let's bring the right knee up between the hands. And then we're going to bring that right foot over toward the right leg so that we can bring the weight back. I walk my left foot back a bit. So we've got a nice bend in the knee. The right foot is almost beneath the left hip flexor. It's coming into a pigeon. If the knees are not cooperative in this position, and this is really hard on the knees for you, you can always come into this position on the back, coming into a figure 4, and getting a similar stretch in the back of the legs by doing this on the back. And that allows there not to be quite as much pressure on the knee. So take that option if you need it. If you're able to do this pigeon pose, you can come into it and maybe lengthen up tall first, and then we'll work our way down to the floor by moving the hands and forearms forward. You can bring the head to rest on a block, or you can make fists with the hands and rest the forehead on the fists. You can even make a little triangle with the thumbs and the forefingers and just let the forehead rest in that little triangle. Decide what feels best for you. And again, just relax into this position. Very little effort, if any, in the body. We're letting gravity pull us down toward the mat. Gravity's doing the work for us here. Really feeling that opening in the outer hip, the groin area. And remembering that nice, deep, and lengthy inhale and exhale. And then to come out of this, we're going to press up with the forearms and roll over onto the right hip. And then we'll lengthen back out a little bit into our tabletop again. And then we'll bring the left knee in between the hands, walking this right foot out, bringing the left knee over a bit. So just work with the leg here so that you come into a position that is comfortable. And if it's not comfortable on one side, then do that supine figure 4. You can walk the right foot back, just noticing. You might glance over the shoulder. You want it to be straight back behind the hip. So the left foot is resting right below the right hip flexor. And again, if this is reaching a point of a tiny little bit of discomfort, it's okay. But if there's any pain whatsoever, you want to do this in the supine figure 4, because pain is not a good thing, especially not right before bedtime. And then we'll use the forearms and hands to walk our way down onto the mat, with the torso coming forward and resting the forehead either on the fist, on a block, or on that little triangle you can make with the hands. Just notice if it feels really different on this side of the body versus the other. If it feels better or it works better for your body to be up on the hands or on the forearms, you can also do that. We want to relax into this as much as possible. So whatever you need to do to allow your body to relax here, that's what you want to work toward. And that might mean bringing a blanket in under the hip, or it might mean transitioning from this pigeon in the middle of it over into that supine figure 4. Just listen to your body and honor what it needs today at this moment. And again, remember those deep and lengthy inhales and exhales. And to come out, we're going to press up with the hands and the forearms, leaning over onto that left hip. And we're going to come onto our backs now. And cut there gently. Rolling down onto the back. Let's open the knees wide into a Supta Baddha Konasana. The soles of the feet are touching one another and the knees are open wide. And if it feels better to have a block underneath the thighs or underneath the knees here for some support, then use that. You can bring the hands to rest on the abdomen or even open the arms out beside you with the palms facing the ceiling. Just decide what feels best for you at this moment. And just relax into this position, allowing gravity to open the knees wide and pull the legs toward the floor. And allow the shoulders to melt into the mat, the arms to grow heavy. Notice that point in the back of the head that's resting on the mat. Notice where the bum or the sacrum is touching the mat, where the feet and the legs are grounded beneath you. Notice that lumbar curve in the spine, where the spine lifts off the mat gently. Just really coming into the body and into bodily awareness. We call this interoception, listening to the signals that the body is presenting us with, and honoring those messages that we receive from our body about what it needs and what feels right and what doesn't. If you'd like to provide a little bit of traction for the spine, you can take the hands shaped like an L, just opening the thumb away from the fingers, and then take that L shape and put it right in the hip crease so that the thumbs are pressing on the backs or the sides of the hips, and the fingers are just right in the groin. And then just press away from the body and you'll feel some lengthening in the spine, pressing down toward the bottom of your mat. Feeling a little lengthening there. And then you can release that whenever you feel ready. If you have a block handy, you might want to bring that closer to your hand. I'm going to come up into a supported bridge pose here. So pressing into the heels, engaging the thighs and the pelvic floor. Let's press the hips up and just bring that block to rest right underneath the sacrum. So that is about 1 inch to 2 inches above the tailbone. And we're just going to rest the weight of the hips right there on the block. Just feel gravity pulling that weight of the hips right down into the block. This can feel really nice on that sacral area if you've been active or more sedentary, either one. Just this kind of sacral reset by providing some pressure in that area. And I do encourage you, if you haven't had your eyes closed during much of this practice, to close them and really feel the bodily sensations. Just taking notice of whatever you can within the body, within the muscles, the skin, the bones. Really noticing what's happening as you relax the body and prepare for rest. And when you feel ready, we're going to want to remove this block. So we're going to press into the feet using the thighs and then engaging the pelvic floor to lift the hips just enough to bring the block out to the side, and then gently and slowly lower the hips down. Let's lengthen the left leg out from the hip, just lying it flat on the mat and then squeezing that right knee toward the chest with a gentle little hug toward the chest there. And then we're going to bring that right knee across the body, coming into a supine twist, allowing gravity to bring the right knee toward the floor. Maybe even opening the right arm out to the side of the right shoulder. And if it feels good, you can glance over toward that extended right palm. If you need to open up in the low back a little bit, then just press the foot toward the bottom of your mat. That'll give you a little more length so that things don't get pinchy in the low back. Remembering that deep inhale and full and complete exhale. And really just relaxing into this position, letting go of any efforts. Let's roll over onto the back. And we'll bring the right leg down, lengthened out from the hip so that it's flat on the mat, and bring the left knee in toward the chest, giving it a little hug, a little squeeze there. And then we'll take that right knee over across the body, bringing it toward the floor on the right-hand side, rolling on to the outside of the right hip, extending the left arm out from the left shoulder. And if you like to bring the twist into the neck, you can glance over toward that extended left palm. And just relax into this position, remembering that deep breathing, slowing the pace of the breath. Noticing how this feels on this side of the body versus the other side. And let's bring the body back into a neutral position here, coming onto the back. And last but not least, we're going to come into a legs up the wall position. So roll over onto one side of the body first and pillow the head with the arm, bringing the knees a little closer to the chest, a loose fetal position here for one full breath cycle. And then we're going to press up to seated. And if you don't have wall space handy, what I would suggest is grabbing a strap or a blanket. I'll show you that first. Rolling down onto the back, you can bring the legs directly up above the hips and just use the strap around the thighs, maybe placing it just above the knees, maybe about 6 inches above the knees, and keeping a close clasp on the strap here so that the elbows are on the mat and close to the ribs, and you're using that leverage to hold the legs up. So this shouldn't require a lot of effort in the arms. If you have wall space handy, I highly recommend finding a space where you can do legs up the wall in the traditional sense, with the legs up the wall. And to come into that pose, we'll start by sitting with the shoulder right against the wall. And from that position, with the knees bent and the feet flat on the floor, we're just going to roll back so that, well, I have too many props in my way. Let me try this a different direction. So we roll back and then lift the legs up, and I can use this hand that's closest to the wall to just push me around so that my bum is close to the baseboard. Now, if the hips are really tight, or if the hamstrings are tight, you might need to push away from the wall and bring the bum away from the wall just a bit. Otherwise, if you can, keep the bottom close to the wall, keep a little bend in the knees, and just let the heels rest right on the wall. This is a Great relaxation pose any time of the day. If you can only do one pose right before bed, I would make this the one because it is great for the circulation, helps with varicose veins. It is a clue to your nervous system that it is time to relax and bring everything down, readying it for sleep. So if this is, you want to bring some relaxation into your bedtime routine and you only have time to do one pose, this is the one. It takes almost no effort once you get into it. You just hang out here. You may want to set a timer. You can stay here from 1 minute to 5 minutes to 10 minutes. At some point as you may start to feel a little tingle in the feet, which is a good message to pay attention to from the body. It's time to come out if you've stayed here for quite a while. But once you're here, the important thing is to completely let go of any efforts, continuing to breathe deeply, full inhales into the abdomen, and a full and complete exhale. And you're just hanging out here, letting gravity do the work again. Relaxing the shoulders down, relaxing the arms. Letting any thoughts that may come to mind just pass on through. No attachment to them, no judgment, no to-do lists. We're at the end of your day. I want to relax and let go. I suggest working to stay here 2 to 5 minutes if you're new to this position. When it starts to feel uncomfortable, certainly come out, and then you should be ready for bed. I like to do my bedtime routine of brushing the teeth and washing the face and all those things before I do any of these poses, because then I'm ready to just hop right into bed, maybe turn on my meditation app, do my breathing. One other tip for breathing right before bed, once you do get in the bed and you're cozy under the covers, is to breathe in to a count of 4 and then exhale to a count of 6 or maybe even to a count of 8 if that works for you. This is another clue to the nervous system that it's time to bring all the systems into that rest and digest phase and to prepare for the repair and replenish that happens during our sleep. So counting to 4 as you inhale, and then counting to 6 as you exhale, 6 or 8 if you can make it to 8. That really clues the parasympathetic nervous system in to what it's time for. Now to come out of legs up the wall, let's bend the knees toward the chest, and then we're just going to rock over to one side, and we'll use the hands to press us up to seated. And then you can come back to sit on your mat. This is just a nice sequence of relaxing poses that you can do. You can do them at any time of the day, but they're especially helpful right before bedtime to really bring the body into full relaxation. And again, legs up the wall. If you only have time for one, that would be my recommendation. And I hope this has been a really useful practice for you and that it will bring some peace and tranquility into your sleep time and make it easy for you to fall asleep and rest and relax. And I did mention sleep meditation apps. I do have some meditations for sleep that are available, and I'll link those in the description below if you'd like to go grab one of those. They can be helpful once you've done some yoga before bed, or if you just don't have time and you really need to get right into bed because it's late and you want to try to ease into sleep after a busy day, the sleep meditation can really be helpful also. And I can't wait to practice with you again soon. If you have any questions or any comments about this practice or any others, certainly let me know in the comments below. And if you'd like to know when new practices are available here on my channel, then subscribe and click that little bell so you get notifications when the newest practice has posted. Namaste.